Dear students, greetings to you. I am Mr. Michael S. I am here to teach you English. For you to pass in this English paper is very important because that's the only way you will be able to do the remaining 3 years of your BSc nursing course. Unless you pass an English paper, you won't be able to do the other things. Secondly, most of our lessons are based on these 2 books. The first one is Essential Language Skills, University of Rajasthan, published by Macmillan Publishers India Private Limited. This is your basic book. And the next book is English for Nurses by Malika Balu, and it is published by JP Brothers Medical Publishers Private Limited. The first book is your basic book, whereas this English for Nurses will help you to find any detail of the topics that we are discussing. In English language, any sentence you take or any phrase you take, what you see are words put together so that they give you meaning. These words belong to one or other part of speech. And so, in your lower classes, you must have learned there are 8 parts of speech, like noun, verb, adjective, adverb, conjunction, preposition, interjection. These are called parts of speech. Of all the parts of speech, the most important is verb. Because without verb, nothing would make sense. Especially when you read a sentence, it is a verb that gives you the meaning. So today is your first class and first lesson. Our lesson is on verb. Verb is action in time. Verb, it talks about action in time. There are 2 important things therefore. It talks of action, it talks of time. Let me write a simple sentence there so that you understand what I am talking about. I am teaching English. Now if you look at that, there are many words there. Of all of them, most important thing that gives you the meaning of what I am doing is this: I am teaching. And this is what I call verb. I am teaching. Let me give you another example. She is a student. If you look at that, here the verb is. I can go on giving. She will be a nurse next year. And in that sentence, will be is the verb. This way, if you look at it, the verb is what gives meaning to the whole sentence. Now, when we talk of verb, you must have already learned in your lower classes, they are past tense, present tense, and future tense. That is what tells the time. Look at that. I am teaching. That am gives you a clear idea that I am talking about present. What is going on right now? When I say she is a student, the is tells you there she is and she is a student. So the verb tells you not only the action but also the time. You will be wondering, in the first sentence, teaching clearly tells the type of activity I am doing right now. But what about the second sentence? There is no action, but it tells that this girl, she is existing in the form of a student. So it talks of her state, or it talks of a quality. Being a student is a quality. Therefore, when I say verb, it can be an action verb like this, or it can be not exactly an action but a non-action verb. There are different ways to put it. The grammar books divide the verb into regular verbs, irregular verbs, and similarly the main verb and the auxiliary verb. The word auxiliary means helping. Main verb, teach, is the main verb, and the past tense will be taught. So for a main verb, you have a very clear idea. But when it comes to auxiliary verb, how does it become a helping verb? Look at the sentence on the blackboard. Am teaching. Here, teaching doesn't tell the time, but time is told by am. And am along with this teaching becomes the indicator of a continuous tense. In other words, the word am is helping to make this into a continuous tense. Similarly, a helping verb is required to construct a passive voice. A helping verb will be required to construct a future sentence, future tense. Let me give you two examples. A sentence in passive voice. The rat was killed by. The rat was killed by a cat. Obviously, you know it is a passive sentence, and the verb here is was killed. When you look at the word killed, don't get confused to be a verb. It is only past participle form of the verb kill. Kill, present tense. Killed, past tense. Killed, past participle. This is past participle. It doesn't indicate time. In this sentence, therefore, which word indicates time? It is this was. The past tense of is was. Therefore, this sentence is in past tense. So, you are able to tell the time with the help of a helping verb. And that's the reason you call it helping verb. Let me give you a sentence in future tense. I already told you this sentence. She will be a nurse next year. She will be a nurse next year. Now look at that. Here none of them tells you the time except these two. It is this will that makes it a future time it talks of. And therefore, this will is called a helping verb. This way, the verb tells the time, present time, past time and future time. But to think that only tense is all about verb is again a misconception. Before we talk of verb, the first thing to know is the verb forms. In other words, it is with the help of these verb forms we are able to construct the sentences. Verb forms, you may already heard about it. Perhaps in lower classes you have ignored this particular topic. Your teachers must have told you, for example, take the word come. Its past tense will be came. Its past participle is again come. When I say come, came, come, I am not talking about tense. I am talking about the three forms. The present form, come, or it can be comes. The past form, came, and the past participle form, come. These are not the only three. Actually, there are more than three forms of verb. For example, we had the sentence teaching. ing added at the end of the word. That is also a verb form. Actually, grammar books will call it present participle form, which we are not familiar. So, we can simply call that ing form of the verb. Similarly, she likes to be a nurse. Yeah, she likes to play. When I say the word she likes is the verb, but there is another one near it. To play. Let me write it down. She likes to play. Likes is clear, it tells the time, right now. But what about this? To play. It doesn't tell time, and it is only a verb form. And in that, together, they should be called infinitive form of the verb. So let us put it in a table form. Verb form, I will call it forms. I am making a table right now. You will be needing this table. You will have to copy it down, and you will have also exercise on that. Now I divide it into present form, past participle form, ing form, and the infinitive form. I am writing it here. Present form, and this past form. This is PP. PP means past participle form, and here you have ing form. This is our convenience. This word is coined for our convenience. Actually, the grammar books will call it present participle form. If this is past participle, this is present participle, and here you have infinitive. Now, when it comes to that word, please be careful. We are not talking about infinite. We are talking about infinitive. Infinitive means, well, it doesn't have a clear-cut time. Infinite time. Infinitive. Of these forms, now let me put a verb and we see its various forms for you to understand. Let's take the verb do. Its past form will be did. Its past participle form will be done. Ing form will be doing. Its infinitive form will be to do. Let's take another word. Let us take the word drive. Drive. Its past form will be drove. Its past participle form will be driven. Its ing form will be driving. And infinitive form will be to drive. This way, we can write the various forms for any verb, and there are any number of verbs. And that's the reason in lower classes they ask you just to learn the first three. Some textbooks will call it verb 1, meaning thereby verb form number 1, second form of the verb, the third form of the verb, and so on. So first three forms. Very often for short, the past participle is called third form of the verb. Well, now for action verbs, it's very easy. Do, did, done, or come, came, come, see, saw, seen, anything, any verb that you want. Now, when it comes to these action verbs, again textbooks will divide them into two basic. One, regular verbs and irregular verbs. For example, talk. Talk is a verb. Its past is talked. T-A-L-K-E-D. When you simply add one ed or t, etc., and make its past form, that is a regular verb. Whereas here on the blackboard, you have drive, you have drove, driven. Three different words. And therefore, it is called irregular verb. Regular verbs, you simply add one ed or t at the end. Whereas for irregular, you have three different words, or you change the middle. Like for example, give and gave, you change the middle. They are all irregular forms. There is one more irregular. For example, the word cut. If it is the regular one, you will call it cutted, which is wrong. You already know cut, the past form is also cut. Its past participle form also is cut. Of course, here it will be cutting, here it will be to cut. And this is also called therefore irregular form of the verb. Well students, for this class, here we end the class, but you have a homework, and very important homework is that in your book, in your textbook, that is this book, English for Nurses. On page 132 to 137. I'm putting it on the blackboard here. Page 132 to 137. These pages are a must read. That is your homework. Must read. Meaning thereby, not reading just once, read it repeatedly. I'm sure you are almost committed it to memory in your lower classes, but to remind you once again of them, so you will have the three forms of various verbs, both regular and irregular. Thank you.